You can edit a form at any particular time. The first thing is to locate the form. Now, of course, one way to do it is to simply type in a descriptor, which is in the title, and hopefully you can find it amongst all of your files which would have that particular term in it. Perhaps a better way to do this is to arrange everything in your drive. And so, just as you would on your PC or Mac, you're going to put files in folders. And so I have a variety of different folders over here. All of my work for CS is found here. If I was going to be looking for something under hurricanes, I would simply look under the appropriate folder, in this case Earth and Space Science. And so if I looked under this and then opened that, clicked on that, eventually I would find this particular file called copy of hurricane. So that's actually what we're looking for. If I open that up, it's going to reveal the form in this editing form. In other words, I can actually edit this at this particular time. Now, if I wanted to see what it looked like in the live view, in other words, the way that a user would see it, I can click on the View Live Form, and here's how it's going to appear to the end user. So I can return to this at any time by simply clicking on the Edit Live Form, and sure enough, I'm right back into the form where I can edit it. Now, at any particular time, you can turn the form or the survey on or off. Right now, you can see this as accepting responses. If I click that, it's not accepting responses, and I can change the screen that people will see by just simply clicking and changing this data right here. Right now, I'm going to turn this back to accepting responses, so that if somebody had this link, they could actually get the data. However, when you're editing a survey or a form, it's probably best to turn this off until you've completed the editing and then turn it back on, because otherwise they might get a half-changed form and you're going to get data that's going to be confusing. So, and whenever you do change a form, that the data you're going to receive will reflect those changes. So let's say that you wanted to add a new question. So if, let's say, I add a new question by saying at the bottom of the page, add item, and let's say I put in a new grid question. And so in this case here, let's just say that I wanted to talk about the location of them. And I specified the horizontal and vertical axes and so forth. This data will only appear, obviously, in a new column in the spreadsheet, and people who had taken the survey or the form prior to this time would not have that data associated with them. So, but the nice thing is you can change the survey on the go. In other words, as the survey is being conducted, you can change it at any particular time. And that's, of course, a wonderful feature, but it can be confusing because you may not have the same data for all respondents. Now, when you want to edit the survey and change questions, you can do so simply by clicking on the question and then changing whatever the text is, just as you would in a word processor. So as we're looking through this, let's say I wanted to change this here to say it doesn't hit the U.S. to say it doesn't hit North America. Now, if I did that, that particular option under this question here, this multiple choice question, will be changed. Now, when you're looking at these, each question type has some specific parameters around with it. An interesting one here on multiple choice is you could change the destination that the survey will follow based upon a respondent's. So, for example, in this case, let's say that the earthquake hit in Virginia. Then you could say, I'd like to continue to another page. And this is why you want to create different pages if you want the survey to be different for the different individuals. In this case, right now, we just have one page. But the idea is that at any time we can create a new page, and the new page will be created wherever this blue line is. So once I've selected a particular question, the blue line appears. If I use the down arrow, you'll notice that, or the up arrow, I can change the relative position of that. And so let's say I wanted to make a page break here. I can say insert a page break, and the page break will occur directly after the question where that blue bar was inserted. So if I call this page 2, let's say this is Virginia, so this might be questions I want people to answer only if the hurricane made landfall in Virginia. So you can structure your survey appropriately, but it's dependent on the type of the question that you ask. In that particular case, we had constrained the question by certain responses in a multiple choice format. So if they had chosen Virginia, it goes to one page. If they had chosen North Carolina, it could go to another page, and so forth, based upon how you structured the survey. Let's say that you have this question and you want to use all of these options, but you really don't want to retype everything. Well, easy enough to do. Just simply duplicate it. And now you can see that we have this one here, which is basically a duplicate of this. So this first one says landfall, and maybe we might want to say, is the next state entered? Okay, so let's say that we wanted to use all of those same options, but we just wanted to change the question. We can do so at any time. That's going to save us the time on replicating. That'll be really helpful in certain surveys where all of the answers are the same, but the questions aren't. And so, again, we're editing just duplicating the question there. Now, at any particular time, I can insert a new question. Again, if I use my cursor and I want to put a question beneath wind speed and landfall, I could get my cursor in that location and say insert, and then choose the particular type of question that I wanted to ask. Now, we can also insert images and so forth at any particular time. So let's say I want to put an image in, and this image here is going to be of this hurricane. So here's a hurricane viewed from satellite, and I want to put that into there. I could simply say choose the image and or drag it, and if I was able to find it there on my desktop or wherever I was keeping it, that I could select that, and sure enough, when I inserted that and chose that from the menu, then that would pop into the form at that particular point. So right now you can see that JPEG is being inserted in there, and of course I can title it and also give some hover text for it. So let's say that I put their satellite view, and I want there for hover text. That means is that as I move the cursor across this in the live form, that something's going to light up. And I'll say maybe in this one here, a good view of a Hurricane I. So as the cursor moves across the image, when the user's actually working on this, then they would see, oh, it's a good view of a Hurricane I, and so it would help them identify what the features were that you were trying to draw their attention to by the graphic. Now, this is particularly nice if you're going to have some kind of a test question. You want to have a picture or a graph or a chart associated with one. But if, let's say, you wanted to change the position at any time, all you have to do is to look for those little tabs, those little dots. Whenever you see those dots, it indicates you can move something. It's like a little friction point. Think of them like little braille dots. And if I was to drag from there, I can change the position of that, or I could change the position of other questions simply by clicking and dragging and dropping. So I can change the positions of any at any time I wish. Now, another feature that you may be interested in is the ability to break your survey into different questions, into different sections. So if, let's say I wanted to insert a new section beneath here, I could do so by saying insert section. And the purpose for sections is to divide the nature of the test. So pages is to direct them to different locations based upon a particular response to a multiple choice question, whereas in a header would be to divide the survey into different portions. So for example, let's say the first stuff is all going to be information about wind speed and so forth. The next thing here is going to be about the track. Okay, so I could say hurricane tracking and then give some kind of an explanation. When I do so, that would indicate that the next portion of the survey is really focusing on that particular topic. Finally, you can change the appearance of the survey by just changing the theme. So if you were to click on this button right here and change the theme, you could simply select a particular theme, and the appearance of the survey to the user is going to be changed appropriately.